It's a Wonderful Life, directed by Frank Capra and starring James Stewart and Donna Reed, is more than just a movie. It's a piece of cinematic history that continues to this day to resonate with audiences around the world. Released back in 1946, this film has become a staple of holiday viewing and serves as a symbol of hope and redemption. So for the uneducated, what is it about? Well, the story follows George Bailey, played by James Stewart, a man who has spent his entire life in the small town of Bedford Falls. On a snowy Christmas Eve, George hits rock bottom and contemplates suicide, feeling overwhelmed with crippling financial troubles and believing to be a failure in life. A guardian angel sent from the heavens to protect him gives George a glimpse of what the world would be like without him. Now this is a very, very special movie in my heart, and one I'm so looking forward to talk to you about. So I am Craig from Wookie Video, and let's delve into 5 compelling reasons why It's a Wonderful Life is probably, quite possibly, the greatest Christmas movie ever made. Period. Number 5, its classic status grew from television viewings. It's no secret that the film was a box office flop for RKO Pictures when it first had a limited release on the 20th of December 1946. Why? Well, a lot feel it was because probably it was the first Christmas after the Second World War and the weary public were looking for more escapism and optimism to raise their spirits, and a tale of a man contemplating suicide just didn't appeal. So despite the promising upbeat title, the film didn't deliver what everybody wanted. The critics also gave lukewarm reviews, and the film sunk without a trace on memory. For decades it remained on the shelf, and Republic Pictures, who owned the film's copyright, didn't even bother to renew the rights for a second term in 1974, so it went to public domain. Many American television channels, hungry for free content, started to show the film on repeat every Christmas, and something beautiful started to grow. And it hasn't been off American television ever since, and is now considered one of the greatest movies ever made. What a turnaround! Ironically, the highest grossing movie of the year It's a Wonderful Life was released was called Gentleman's Agreement, with Gregory Peck and Dorothy Maguire. Anyone seen that one recently? Well, ironically, that's now sitting on a shelf somewhere. Number 4, it's a holiday tradition. Over the years, the film has become a holiday tradition for many families, like the annual television broadcasts of the 1970s and 80s, often around the Christmas time, and it's helped to solidify its status as a Christmas classic. Families began to make it a tradition to watch the film together, passing down the experience from one generation to the next. Now you can easily catch the film in many cinemas every Christmas time, and it's almost like bringing out your favourite festive jumper and wearing it all over again and feeling the warmth and coziness that it gives you. Now I have a confession. I'm ashamed to say I didn't grow up watching the film at all. In the UK, it didn't get the 1980s television showings to my knowledge. That was more The Wizard of Oz here for some reason. Now, I was aware of the film and even remember that somebody I worked with recommended me it and given me an early issue DVD in the 1990s, but I grew bored of it and switched it off halfway through. I know, I can't believe I did that either, but do hear me out. And on that note, let's move swiftly to number 3. Number 3, it's a wonderful third act. In my humble opinion, the third act of It's a Wonderful Life is hands down one of the most effective in cinema history. It provides that sucker punch of emotion, but you do have to sit through a lot of exposition before you get there. So on that disastrous initial viewing, I remember thinking it wasn't remotely festive. There was a lot of following George Bailey's life, his dreams of a world tour, his budding relationship with Mary, his friends, and working at the bank to keep Mr. Potter at bay. Now it does feel like a long slog on your first watch, and I should have been more patient. And if you take note of everything happening, you realise it's essential, and it's even better on repeated viewings. You see George's hopes and dreams slipping away as fate intervenes. And in the end, it's hard not to be amazed by what this film pulls off. Despite the supernatural element and the fact that it could easily be a feature-length episode of The Twilight Zone, I just love how there's no magic fix to George Bailey's problems. It's about a community coming together to support one another and appreciating what you've got and what you've done through everyday acts of selflessness. And yes, it is sentimental, but never schmaltzy, and always leaves you with a tear in your eye. Now, when I finally saw the full film at the cinema that Christmas Eve in the early noughties, I left the cinema smiling and with tears in my eyes. Now, I had lost my dad that year, and I think this film touched me in a way and has easily become one of my favourites. Even talking about it makes me feel a little bit emotional, and it gets me every time. So, let's see what's next, eh? Number 2, James Stewart's iconic performance. Jimmy Stewart's portrayal of George Bailey is considered one of his finest performances. He was also personally invested in the project, and having recently returned from serving in World War II, the actor brought a sense of gratitude and appreciation for life to his performance. So this personal connection to the material likely added an extra layer of authenticity to his portrayal of George Bailey. His ability to convey a deep emotion and humanity brought the character to life and made George Bailey the ultimate everyday man. He's likeable, believable, but most importantly, relatable. Now, there's many times in my life so far I've felt the weight of sadness and disappointment and failure. After all, it is life, but this film helps me realise that most things are never that bad. So we can empathise with George's struggles and aspirations. Watching George Bailey's wide-eyed dreams slowly fade and die to humdrum life in Bedford Falls is truly heartbreaking and touching. James Stewart is undoubtedly the film's heart and soul. The movie simply refused to stay on the shelf, Stewart said. Those who loved it a lot, and they must have told others. They wouldn't let it die any more than the angel Clarence wouldn't let George Bailey die. Now, I couldn't have said that better myself, Jimmy. So before I share with you my number 1 reason why this film remains as poignant and as relevant in the 21st century, let's share a few wonderful facts that you may not know about It's a Wonderful Life. Did you know that the gym where they filmed the high school dance is actually still there? The high school dance sequence was filmed in Beverly Hills High School and is still there and used by students to this day. And the retractable floor was also used in a rom-com called Whatever It Takes in 2000 in a very similar scene. Did you know Donna Reed has a great arm? Donna Reed plays Mary Hatch Bailey, George's wife. When filming the famous scene where George and Mary each throw a stone through the windows of an abandoned house, director Frank Capra had an ace marksman lined up to shoot out the window on cue. However, Donna Reed had played baseball in high school and she did it herself first time without any help. Did you know that the film is based on a Christmas card? Well, the original book that the movie is based on is called The Greatest Gift and was written by Philip Van Doren Stern. Van Doren Stern finished the novel in 1941 and sent it to a publisher after publisher, but it was constantly rejected. After a few years, he decided to turn the story into a 24-page Christmas card to send to friends and family. It fell into the hands of RKO Pictures producer David Hampstead, who bought the film rights for $10,000. Did you know it was shot during a summer heatwave? A lot of the film is set at Christmas with snowfall throughout, but it was filmed during the summer months in California during an actual heatwave. It got so hot that at one point Capra had to give the cast and crew a day off to recover. And in the famous scene towards the end of the movie where George runs around Bedford Falls shouting Merry Christmas to everybody, we see snow everywhere, but there's certain shots where you can actually see sweat glistening on Jimmy Stewart's face. Did you know that the Bedford Falls set was huge? Well, the set constructed for Bedford Falls was very impressive. It took 2 months to build and at that time was the biggest movie set ever built. It covered 4 acres, included 75 stores and buildings, a working bank, a main street, a factory district and a residential and slum area. The main street was 300 yards long, the equivalent of 3 city blocks. Unfortunately, the set was razed to the ground in 1954. Now imagine if it still existed and we could visit it as a tourist attraction. The money it would make would sort out George's money woes in an instant. Right, so I am back and ready to serve out my number one reason. So we've discussed the television showings, that it's a holiday tradition, Jimmy Stewart's amazing performance and that third act. But now, are you ready for this? Of course you are. After all, that's why you're here. Number one, it's a tale of hope and redemption. Above everything else, the film's central theme of hope, community and impact one's life can have on others has made it the timeless classic it is. Its message that every individual is important and can make a difference resonates deeply with audiences, especially during the holiday season. Over time, the film has underwent a critical re-evaluation, with some critics and filmmakers recognising its artistic merit and impact on popular culture. This film's evaluation helped to elevate its status from the perceived box office failure to a cinematic masterpiece. The film has a life of its own now, said Capra in 1984, and I can look at it like I had nothing to do with it. I'm like a parent whose kid grows up to be president. I'm proud, but it was the kid that did the work. Well, maybe the kid he referred to was Jimmy Stewart himself. In fact, due to all the fantastic work done by everyone in this magical production, It's a Wonderful Life transcends its era and remains alive and thriving in the hearts of many where other films have faded. And may its star shine bright for many decades to come. So if you haven't seen this film yet, do the sensible thing and watch it from start to finish. You'll thank me later. And for those of you who have seen it, it's never a bad decision to watch it again. It will make you want to hug your neighbour or even strangers in the street. For me, it remains the perfect Christmas film. And there's another thing what is great, and that is nobody has to watch those blurry, low-grade prints of the movie anymore because it's now fully restored, which makes it even more wonderful to watch. I'm Craig and this is Wookie Video. Do you agree with my thoughts on It's a Wonderful Life? Why not comment below? And tell me about the time when you first saw the movie. Now, I had a goal to reach 100 subscribers in 2023, and after a very slow start and trying to find my format, I'm thrilled I've reached over 350 in the last few months, which is way over what I expected. Now, I would love to reach 400 by the end of this month, so if you like this channel and the content I create, I'd be ever so thankful if you could subscribe, like and share this content. So this is me signing off. However, I will return next week with another classic, and it's Die Hard. Is it a Christmas movie though? That is the debate. See you then.